My name is David Cardeal, Vice President of Demand Gen at Parsley. I oversee a small but scrappy team of marketers in the content analytics space. We're really measuring the value of individuals' content, engagement rate and such, taking a deeper dive into that so folks can measure the true ROI of the content and what they're actually putting out into space. Uberflip, I have been part of an integration. Actually, technically, it's 4 organizations. If I think about it in a situation where there was an acquisition involved. First company was with Blackbaud, where our team was, it really came down to velocity in which we deployed our campaigns across demand gen, across growth marketing, both on the new business and customer side. Blackbaud employs a fleet of demand marketers that really covers all of the different respective product offerings within the platform. And that was just one of the challenges, is we needed content repositories, we needed metrics to better understand the performance and what we were doing in that space. So that was the first time I had seen Uberflip and seen it in action. For my team, I was on the customer side of the business, customer marketing. So specifically, that was the educational services piece of it, education and training. So we had about a $30 million business across education and training, where I was running campaigns at our customers to get them to upsell to a education and training package. So Uberflip supplied us with a repository for just general content, case studies. We did some integration with SnapApp to bring in another tool for some quizzes and so forth, but we would actually put that into our Uberflip hubs and run campaigns off of it. Next stop was TrendKite. So now we're heading to the PR analytics space. TrendKite was more in the startup phase, a couple of series rounds. When I joined, probably just under 200 employees, still small. Now we're going from more of an enterprise organization at Blackbaud into more of a startup space. About, like I said, a little under 200 employees, a little over 10 million in ARR when I joined TrendKite. A little bit of the same problem, just different way to go about it. First of all, I needed a content repository so we could actually run campaigns off of it. I needed to be fast, and really that was just it. I needed to move quickly to run the campaign. So looking at us building it internally ourselves versus looking to build it with Uberflip won out. So we were actually a case study for Uberflip in this, where their implementation time is usually in the neighborhood of about 8 weeks. We did it in 5, where we had our first 2 hubs up and running. The first thing we went after was our blog. We had a lot of subscribers to our blog, but the experience was very, well, let's just say it was lackluster type experience, right, that folks went into. More of a WordPress listing of our blogs versus something that was a little more aesthetically pleasing, right, where you could actually sort and search, and just the UI being a little bit more pleasing in that regard. So we got all of our blogs ported over, tagged appropriately, and set up in Uberflip. And then the next thing was our content repository. So now we're talking about our webinars, our ebooks, our playbooks, anything that we're using on the demand gen or educational side to talk about TrendKite. Those are the 2 main blogs. Those are the main repositories we used for our content. So we got those up and running quickly. Those remained our repositories for content through TrendKite. And over 2 years, marketing, that really became, a central repository for marketing's contribution to the business. We went from about a 17 to 20% contribution to new business, all the way up to an astounding 77% contribution to new business as a team, with Uberflip being a big contributing piece to that. So in that case, what I would say to folks is that if you are in that sort of startup type role, resources are limited, and you need to get a content repository up and running quickly, that's where Uberflip came in and helped us out. On the side, we would actually use Uberflip hubs for some different type of ABM style tactics. So we would do some more, let's call it personalized experiences with individual organizations. So if we were targeting specific accounts and we wanted to say TrendKite plus, XYZ company, we could set up an experience and tailored content experience towards that, and really focused a campaign to target at specific accounts. That all contributed to that 77% sort of peak performance that we reached. Of course, when we hit that 77% and we were toasting, having champagne toast, I'm really excited because, never been a part of a marketing team that's contributed that much to new business before. We were acquired. And we were acquired by Cision. And this is the other organization that I was mentioning where we integrated. And Cision just didn't have it. So now we're back to enterprise. And so it was a bit of, having to, sort of resell the value. And so once I took over marketing there at Cision, it was a matter of, kind of selling that individually and starting to deploy that individually. And this sort of gets into that kind of like sort of blurred fourth organization, because now we're talking about different regions, different websites, different platforms and technologies across the organization. The big organization, very fragmented, lots of different technologies in their stacks and so forth. So, spreading Uberflip kind of throughout it very regionally to number one, host content, both blog and content, and then the ABM style strategies that I mentioned before. Now we're, looking at our content repository. We'll see if there's a future for that there. But big fan of it. I see it as a one of those integral pieces of your tech stack if you're really focused in on getting a content repository up and running quickly. And they're doing a ton of great work right now on the analytical side of pieces, the AI pieces, and intent data side of things. I'll maintain with any technology, any organization implements, you got to have a champion. And it's just all that you put into it, right, at the end of the day. In terms of just general ease of use, I think it's, for most people that have some semblance of a content repository, it's actually pretty easy. I found them to be a bit of a plug and play type technology. Works very well with, automation platforms, CRM, plugs in pretty nicely, off the bat. And then we would actually use their actual platform to do all our content posting and such. The ease of publication to the hub, and when I say hub, it's the site. Like if I'm posting a blog, you would stand it up in Uberflip and publish. Pretty self-explanatory, easy to use, easy to tag words for SEO. We don't want to forget about that. So doing those type of tasks when you're posting a piece of content in it was easy. Anybody on my team could do it. And so that lended itself to being very flexible across my team. So if somebody was out, so if the content marketer was out, or if a demand marketer that was owning a campaign was out or something, anyone could kind of step in that had a login and get that implemented. So that was enjoyable. We watched Uberflip evolve to the point where there was a lot of categorization that we could make. Oftentimes would say, to my team, what we're doing is creating an experience that's episodic in nature. And so, enter AI capabilities that they had. So suggested reading across our blog, suggested reading across our content repository was extremely helpful. So we could be positioning content, to our readers, to our visitors to that site. That was great. You're going to be on a subdomain. Let's just call it what it is, right? So, but the way we would look at things was like we look at it very holistic. So we're not only looking at something like trendkite.com. We were looking across trendkite.com as a whole. We just had to look at Trendkite. I forgot what the URL was, but it was trendkite.com/resources, and there was a Uberflip tag in there somewhere because it went off to the subdomain. But we had to look at it just holistically, and we just had to report on something a little bit differently. So probably took a little bit of traffic away from the primary site, but it's something we could live with because we were getting the performance on the demand gen side, on the growth marketing side, by driving people to that experience.
I'm going to be perfectly blunt. Yeah, didn't explore other options outside of building it ourselves, I guess, so that maybe is an option. At Blackbaud, I wasn't in on the early decision. I was more on like, hey, we're going to go with this. So I became a fan. So when I went over to Trendkite and realized our problem, I quickly assessed, can we do it ourselves? And we realized, given the size and scope of the team, it was going to take a really, really long time to build anything remotely close to that. So to me, it was just a quick phone call to Uberflip, and we had a deal signed in a day or two, and away we went. I'll look at my two examples. If you think about Blackbaud and you think about Trendkite, very similar in the pain points that we were feeling, right? Speed was the common pain point in terms of getting our campaign tactics, pieces of content up and running very quickly. Those were the kind of two things. And then just creating something that was a bit more, it sounds cheesy, but a little aesthetically pleasing, right? Versus a laundry list of content you can choose from, having some, nice pictures, nice imagery, nice descriptors, as something that was appealing to come back to. So yeah, I think it's just, it depends on the pain points. It depends on the goals. I think if anybody that's really sort of thinking about growth marketing, this is a good solution for them. And if you don't have the resources to build what you want internally, or to just, kind of throw money at something that's a little bit more plug and play, I think Uberflip's the right decision. Great organization internally. I will say probably we've been talking about the product here, but probably the best customer marketing and customer support team, one of the best I've ever dealt with. And that's saying a lot. Dealt with a lot of them.